Awesome. Beautiful souls, welcome. So wonderful to be here. Let's make sure that we have the audio on, and let's make sure that we can hear each other and you can hear me. And I'm going to go ahead and share this live. And if you guys find some value in these lives, please do share as well. It would be so wonderful. Awesome. See me moving around, it's because I have a giant screen in front of me. And I want to make sure that I'm seeing you guys. All right. All right, guys, how was your day? It took quite a interesting turn of events as I tried to fix my microphone. I just got a new console for it, and I've been having like 3 or 4 trips to the music and sound store to try to figure out what I'm doing wrong with the audio switches. But the problem seems to be internal. So we're going to figure out, as with everything on this channel, figure out how to fix that. In any way, we have it working tonight, so I'm really happy that that's the case. Anyway, today was an extremely, extremely powerful day. Happy 10/10. Some of the topics that came up today, primarily in our healing sessions, are around the topic of self-deception. And when we are in the process of self-review, deep self-realization, deep self-healing, there comes a point where we begin to cycle in what we're observing about ourselves. And in today's live, I want to answer a couple questions as well. So I'll get to your questions, but I want to address this as the main theme of tonight, that when we have these cyclings in our spiritual work and we find a blockage, okay, and we can't seem to go past this spiritual blockage, this spiritual program, this belief system, it's usually because it is asking us to build a new part of ourselves, okay? And this is a really huge topic because essentially we have to, as I mentioned yesterday, we're kind of paving the way. We're cutting all kinds of lineages of generations of old traumas that we've been carrying and repeating through our lives, playing out through our experiences, attracting through our relationships, attracting through family, friends, the experiences that we're having in our jobs, etc. But essentially, it is when you come to that point in which your spiritual practice becomes blocked because you keep reaching the same realization about yourself, but you don't know how to move forward, okay? So a lot of people are experiencing these kinds of spiritual blockages, and what's happening is that the fact of the matter is that we haven't met the person that we are becoming at that point. And it's a very powerful point to be in. It's a very powerful point that requires us to get familiar with a new programming, a new way of being, a new way of being, truly being. And that requires the practice of embodiment. Many of our spiritual practices are conceptual. And that's a problem, because when our practices are conceptual, then this is why we lack the embodiment knowledge, and there's a big split between what you understand psychologically, mentally, logically in your mind, and what actually needs to be integrated and embodied, anchored into your every moment. The whole purpose of this channel is to understand how to embody these practices. And the whole purpose of the work that you and I are doing are in order for us to, hold on. The whole purpose of these practices are for us to learn how to actually embody these in everyday life. And actually that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. That was my question, because I kept going outside to conferences, to lectures, reading books, building a giant library of spiritual information and always looking through and seeing, but not finding the answers. The answers that I share with you today are not answers that you can find in books or very rare books, or having to do really deep research into many layers of information, because there's so much compartmentalization even in the spiritual realm. And so to find the answers to these informations that are more integrated, more connected, more embodied, more holistic in regards to our whole life, that requires organic embodiment, organic connection to the information, downloading the information through your body, feeling, sensing, understanding, integrating deeply these understandings. And that's why my intent with this channel is that I provide you the tools for you to train yourself to activate and access those abilities in you, okay? Not depending on me, and hopefully lessening the dependency on any other external source of information, but rather coming into the self in order to be a profound tool of discernment for you, okay? So that's super important. And anytime that we begin to have that kind of a split in our spiritual practice and we can't move forward, we keep coming back, the answer at the end of your meditation always ends up being the same. And then it's a lot of people get disappointed or disillusioned with the spiritual practice, or exhausted, tired, they throw it away, because at that point they don't know how to move forward. It's always the same answer. But if it's always the same answer and nothing's changing, okay, nothing is expanding, nothing is healing, nothing is transforming, this is because we haven't really learned the embodiment of that answer, okay? And a lot of times that answer relates to how we embody love. And this is the biggest pursuit of humanity, the pursuit of love. But at the same time, it is what we know less of. We know so little of love. Many of us, don't really have experienced these powerful feelings of love with the divine self. Okay, so that's really, really important. And how we begin to cultivate that deep connection with our divine self is by opening the channel to our source every day. Okay, and that has to be practiced. This builds trust. The embodiment of self-love is the cultivation of the connection with yourself. It is the cultivation of trust on a daily basis. It is the cultivation of your intuition. It's the embodiment and the integrity that you build with your intuition on a daily basis. Okay, so are your actions congruent with your thoughts, congruent with your core beliefs? Are the things that you're speaking in alignment with your, with your core intentions? And then as a whole, are you in alignment with the higher laws of the universe? Okay, so this is where we have to start checking in and really understanding the wheel of repetition that we keep cycling through. Okay, so let's go into the questions. Let me come over here. And I am going to, there was a question that was asked earlier today. And hi, Grounded and Hex, welcome. Acreon, welcome. Grandizer, welcome. Alaya Lu, thank you so much. Zokshil, so great to see you. Marilena, wonderful to see you. Alchemic, great to see you. Alaya says, could you please explain the paradox, how it happened when at the same time person can access high vibrations, lives mindfully, but still in severe survival mode in a real life with complicated finances? Okay, so I'm going to answer that question. Earlier, I saw your question and I responded. So I'm going to look for that answer. Okay, Grandizer, welcome. Ellen, good morning from the Netherlands. How wonderful to have you here. Yeah, lots of technical issues. Thanks for understanding, Grandizer. Alchemist, welcome. Love, love, love. Hello, Sophia. Great to see you. Jason, wonderful. Let's go up to Alaya. Thank you for the question. Sorry, poor English. That's okay, Alaya. From childhood, my aim was live spiritual life mindfully, do decisions in life from spiritual perspective, daily prayers, due to practices, downloads of information from the field vibrations of love, etc. Right. So she's explaining that that's what she means by high vibration. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Yesterday I actually mentioned what high vibration actually means. High vibration is an entire shift and change of your subconscious mind. Okay, it is the cultivation of your awareness of the subconscious mind, and that it's congruent with your energy. Okay, so what happens a lot of times is that we have the face outside, the smile on the face, you know, the reactions that we have, the personalities that we put on for the external world, but in reality, you know, behind that, at the core, there are subconscious programs of doubt, disbelief, unworthiness, unlove, you know, these kinds of core belief systems. That disconnect there, what is creating is not the mask, the personality, it's not the downloads, it's not your connection to what you're connecting to, because even those downloads are going to be skewed in some way. They're going to be coming from the part that isn't whole. And this is something that I learned very early on in my healing journey, that I began to notice a very clear difference, that when I was aligned with myself, when I was grounded, when I was very connected to my deep authenticity, okay, grounded in my authenticity, and when I had done a lot of the healing work, the way I felt in that 0 point, the cultivation of the 0 point, was that my intuitions, the information that I was getting, was, how should I say, it was less influenced from my emotional body. Okay, so this is the thing, that our emotions can influence our intuition, and that is not something that we want, because it's only going to be partially true. Okay, when you practice and train intuition on a daily basis, you want to allow your body to come into that subtle sensory system, and you're going to use all your senses to catch information, and you're going to use those senses to help discern. And we discern through many systems of the body, the senses, but a lot of times we are feeling with our sensory body. Okay, and we want to train ourselves to intuit and develop our vision for the things that we're feeling and sensing. We want to develop our higher faculties, the less dense faculties. The more dense the faculty that we're using for the discernment, the more it's going to be tainted with the elements of that density. So if it's all about the body, because we have a lot of empaths that are feeling other people's emotions, absorbing other people's emotions like sponges, to the point where they don't even know where they begin or where they end energetically and emotionally, that's a depletion of your life force. And that intuitive connection is a lot of projection that is being mirrored within other people. Okay, so it's a form of intuition, but it isn't a pure information that is available, because it's influenced by our emotions. Okay, so that's going to limit your ability to discern and define information. In addition to that, it's going to create, you're going to be creating from those emotions. So if at the core there's a mistrust in the information that you get, all of your information are going to have that kind of twist, that kind of flavor to the information that you're getting. Okay, and this is what's going to happen, is that if you listen to that intuition, the result is going to be resulted in suffering. Okay, so when our intuition is aligned with whole perception, which means from the 0 point of non-judgment, a harmonious balance, and an understanding of not judging good and bad and separating those when you're judging something, but having the ability to see it from a higher octave, a more broader perspective, in order to begin to understand what is good for me and what is good for the collective. When you begin to shift your perception into making decisions from that way of being, okay? And our job isn't to see what's the best for the collective. I want to be clear that that's something that happens naturally. It's developed naturally as you develop your intuition with yourself. Number one, you have to develop self-love and self-connection to the self. Okay, but as you begin to cultivate that healing of all the splits that you have within you in your duality, feminine, masculine aspect, you begin to become integrated. You begin to become whole. From that whole self that is no longer in the state of playing out strongly any one archetypal overlay of consciousness, now you can begin to see a broader perspective, and your perception of truth is higher and higher every time, which means broader and broader, not so narrow, not so black and white, okay? And that's really important because essentially, in your question, what creates reality are those deep subconscious belief systems, okay? So it's not so much of a paradox, really, because we are not really embodying a high vibe. If we are embodying a high vibrational frequency, it doesn't mean that we're able to meditate every day, we can channel information, we can, see energy, work with energy. That's just the utilization of our faculties. That's just the utilization of our higher faculties and our abilities, which every human has. That is not a sign of high vibration. High vibration is the integration of your trauma, deep shadow work, the healing of the pain bodies, and your ability to hold space for your own shadow, your ability to hold space for your pain and alchemize it. The alchemization of that pain into neutrality is how you transform into a higher vibration. So let me actually open this PowerPoint. Hold on. Because let me open this. Okay, so let's talk about emotional frequency, okay? And don't worry, we're going to get to all the topics tonight. And if you guys have any more questions, please go ahead and put them in capital letters. I'll do my best to answer them. What creates your reality? So this person, this individual here, okay, their entire organism is made up of emotions, thought forms. Those thought forms are encoded into our subconscious mind. They are programmed into the organs. They are programmed into the nervous system, into the muscle system. They are processed through the endocrine system of the chakras, which produce biochemicals, okay? And they begin to also trigger the nervous system of the body. So that's one emotion. One emotion has all of these processes. One thought form is affecting the body with those processes. And it can do it in a very subtle way, or it could be a really huge reaction in the body, depending on how triggering, how much we are triggered, that then causes the thought form to react in the physical body. When we are existing from a state of survival, okay, when our creator state, now we just need to understand our states of creation. When our state of creation is from duality, it's from the form of survival and separation, and we are totally in effect of our world. Okay, that means that we are in one of these states of existence. We need to look at who is our God, who is the one that has the primary power over our creation. Okay, so when we are in first three levels, in total separation, totally in effect, our God is essentially comparison, logic, rule, competition, punishment, false gods, and we become ambitious, possessive, competitive, or a survivor. Okay, but when we are ascending, let's say we're coming up here to, we're less in effect, right? And we are somewhat coming into unity. Look at the levels of creation, okay? We become caring, we manifest, we begin to have clarity. Some of us become a seer, some of us become prophets, okay? So we are oscillating through all of these dimensional layers at one point or another. Some of us are just oscillating down here, some of us are oscillating up here. We actually need to integrate and balance all these parts within ourselves. We have to integrate the dualistic fractals that were created, that are existing in these lower states. And we do that by bringing awareness to them, okay? So when we become aware of these parts of us, the parts that want power, for example, the parts that need protection, are just existing in a state of protection, this is where we have to start really noticing what are the programs that we're holding, because that is actually what's creating. So even though since childhood, we wanted to live spiritually, it's very important to connect with our pure authenticity and honesty, and start asking serious questions about what drove us into the spiritual work to begin with. The spiritual process has many levels of awakening, okay? In the beginning, we yearn the deep connection to the source, and the stronger the yearning, the more separate we actually embody. Okay, so when that yearning becomes lesser and lesser and becomes integrated into the embodied self, you become one with your source. You recognize yourself at source. Essentially, that yearning disappears completely. And that's what the 0 point is about. You integrate that soul desire to connect. And in the beginning, the desire to connect to source is the desire for love. It is the love of others first in the lower forms, and in the higher forms, it's the love of the self. So actually, I invite you to review this intention as a child. Okay, who were you praying to? Okay, what were your belief systems about prayers? Who are we directing? How much of that intention for the prayers is externalizing, yearning for external support, external salvation, external protection? How much of that is a deep connection with your higher self? There's a huge vibrational difference between the two. Okay. The person that is praying to get help from outside has a deep disconnect with themselves, because they have not recognized the God and the source that they are. Okay. So we actually have to integrate that separation that occurs within us and integrate that duality, so that we can begin to embody eventually the unity consciousness in which we become the source of pure knowing. We become pure consciousness. We become enlightening. We come into a state of being rather than doing and surviving. And we are deeply connected with this state of love. Everything becomes love. Everything is bliss. It's this concept of creating a bliss state on this planet Earth as your everyday life. So that can only be reached when we access pure integration. And that's when the material world begins to manifest in alignment with this state of creation. You need to revisit belief systems around money. You need to revisit belief systems about work, about career, about family, about your relationships, about boundaries. Okay, you need to take a look at that. Because if we have such a strong duality, and there's this paradox that we believe that we're existing in a spiritual level, and we're mindful, but we're still in severe survival mode, that those two cannot exist simultaneously. You know, in that you're either one or the other, or you're strongly swinging between the two. Okay, and that's an imbalance. You know, everyone can experience anything. There's nothing wrong with that experience, but if it's not something that is bringing peace and harmony into your life, then you might want to question, what are the core subconscious belief systems about every single one of these things? Okay, complicating finances, all those things, especially finances, go down the lineage. Okay, how was money held in the family for generations? What are the core belief systems around money? Core belief systems about poverty, about lack consciousness, about giving and receiving. That will show you how the lineage has held heart chakra energy, love energy. And the more that we have contracted and come from lack and fear and poverty mindset, the less we are able to expand into higher states of creation, of open, free creation. There's a profound contraction. And there's also profound attachment to things. There's still a strong attachment to the material. So these are things that have to be reviewed, because your vibrational frequency is a result of your core belief systems, period. Okay, so if you walk around spiritual, with all the right clothings and behaviors and language and activities, those don't define your vibrational frequency. And this is something that, I'm pretty adamant about, because people ask me, I think I'm doing everything right, but still everything's wrong. Well, how much of your everyday experiences and emotions that you feel about yourself internally are going against your own truth, your own integrity, your own health, your own vitality, your own creative ability. Okay, so how we hold these frequency numbers that you see here are relevant to these emotional ranges. Okay, so it's not exact, because each one of these emotions has many layers. Okay, and you guys know the layers that are there. But the more that you hold contracted energy in the body, subconscious belief systems that are contracted about your worth, about yourself, about your ability, about your personal power. Again, who are you praying to? Okay, what are you praying for? This will define how you are managing your life force. We are 100% pure creators, which means that you are a fractal of infinite potential. Okay, being a fractal of infinite potential means that as soon as you begin to integrate these fractals of yourself, of suffering, that you think that you need to, babysit, hold on, protect, attach to, identify with. As soon as you begin to clear those out, in that you no longer identify with them, you no longer suffer them in the present moment, because the majority of humans' sufferings are past events that don't even exist right now. They do not exist. There are things that have happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, yesterday. Okay, and we are so attached to those things energetically. We exist in a web of energy that we keep coming back and forth all the time. We can't move forward. Those are energetic blockages. And if we have a lot of external chaos in our lives, we have stagnation, poverty, conflicts in our relationships, we're holding tight to a certain cord that, we're not letting go. So what kind of cord are you holding on to from the past that we haven't been wanting to let go? Okay. Whatever thought form of self-doubt, disbelief, mistrust in yourself, mistrust in the source, mistrust in yourself as source, that's what you're channeling into your body. And that's what makes your frequency. Okay. So I hope that makes this answer clear. And let me know if you have any questions or if I can continue to develop that further. Okay. All right. So let me go deeper into the topic of tonight, which is essentially the self-deception. Okay. When we reach a blind spot, this is a really huge thing that I see with my clients every single day. Okay. So this continuous spiral of when we reach a certain belief system in a certain thought form that creates a very contractive life force in the body. Again, where we are coming from emotionally will create contraction, which is essentially a centrifugal state of being in which energy is being depleted from the body. Okay? We are in a state of depletion. What does that look like in the chakras? It looks like big holes, tears. This is a toroidal field. Your chakra is a toroidal field. Each one of the chakras are exactly like this in the center of your body, creating an entire field of your body. Okay? So we need to learn that when we are literally, our field in our body is completely, it's completely imbalanced. This is completely open. Your emotions are directly connected to your energetic field. Okay? When you begin to close and seal the holes that have been made as a result of the leaking of your life force, because it's a misplacement of life force, misdirection of your life force through unconscious thoughts and behaviors. So let's say you woke up this morning super empowered, ready to go, ready to co-create today, and then boom, 5 o'clock, something happens that really just annoys you, triggers you, and makes you feel a feeling of disempowerment. What happens to your field? Okay. So first of all, that event happened because you already had this little tear in your energetic field. And it triggered you because you had the tear in the field. The more that you seal your field, which means that you are aware of your energetic body, which means that you are mindful in observing your emotional state, which means that you're mindful and you're consciously choosing what gets to enter into your body or not. That's when you actually begin to change what you're creating. How so? Here's what happens when our field is open. Your entire multidimensional body has the ability and the choice to choose what it allows into its creation. Your sphere, which is your body, this bubble in this picture here, is made up of 13 dimensional layers. It's made up of many layers. You have access to many layers based on the frequency that you develop inside of your biological organism. Okay? So this sphere that you have around you has many layers. It has 13 main layers because the majority of us are oscillating in between 13 dimensions. Most people are actually oscillating between the first and fourth maximum. Okay? Most common everyday people that are not really too much in any kind of awareness, self-awareness practices are usually oscillating between the first and the third and fourth sometimes. They're able to feel some love. Maybe they have a pet or a dog. They're able to cultivate some love. Maybe they have children. Maybe they have a partner. They're able to cultivate some level of love, connection, or attachment. Okay? So people that are beginning to cultivate their heart, their throat, their third eye, and their crown, okay, they begin to activate those layers in the body. Okay? So each layer that you have in your body is a dimension. Your chakras are portals to those dimensional layers. Each dimensional layer of your body has information. It's a projection of the DNA. You have ancestral information and future information inside each one of these chakras. The lower the vibrational frequency of the chakra, the more past the information is. The higher the dimensional chakra, why is that? Because the lower the dimensional chakra in the root, the sacral solar, is because those are oscillating between the DNA of the earth. They are picking up information from the earth. The DNA of the earth, the history of the earth, which is all the ancestral information that you have incarnated into, this etheric soul, infinite potential, incarnate into the physical vessel, which comes with a lineage of ancestral information. That lineage of ancestral information, which is available through the DNA of the earth, which is available through the first three chakras for processing, repeating, cycling, processing, for the purpose of this human soul, this human vessel, to transcend, which means integrate and learn how to embody the highest octave, the highest functioning vessel in its whole lineage. Okay, that is the invitation. When the human is not accessing this information, when the human is not accessing this information of DNA and is dormant, they're just repeating the DNA of the ancestors. Okay, so all the programs mom and dad had, all you are is a product of that, and you keep repeating. And it's not, and mom and dad is a product of social engineering, product of cultural, religious concepts, all of these matrix systems, compartmentalized systems. We are merely oscillating within that information. You are more than that information. So the human that's waking up is beginning to understand what the matrix is. They're beginning to understand the illusion. They're waking up from the dormant hypnosis. And they're beginning to recognize itself as a non-physical entity only. It begins to realize that it's a multidimensional vessel of alchemy. And the alchemical manifestation of working with this information, the higher we go into the heart, the throat, the third eye, we're beginning to access higher octave information. So in the heart, you begin to connect with, the coherence, which allows you to connect with beings, with nature. Okay, so the heart is the gateway to the sun. It is a portal to the sun, but it's also the portal to the earth. It thrives off the color green. That's why when you're in nature, your heart expands naturally. Okay, because the heart chakra is one of the largest toroidal fields of the body. The heart begins to expand. So as the heart chakra begins to expand, now you begin to communicate with animals. You begin to communicate, as I was telling you, with the trees. You communicate with nature, with natural systems of the earth. It's another state of existing. Some people connect with fairies or gnomes, okay? So each one of those communications with those level of entity, that level of consciousness, you're unlocking through the activation of the portals of the chakras, which produce the necessary chemicals in your body to activate your intuition in the way for you to access that information. Okay, so we essentially communicate with different beings based on the vibrational, the chemical that we are producing in our brain, the brain wave that we produce, and the chemicals that are being secreted in the body in order to induce vision. Okay? So essentially, remember, your pineal gland becomes activated. It creates melatonin, but it also creates DMT. And DMT can be secreted in little micro amounts that allow you to activate your vision. This entire system of your eyes and your pineal gland are essentially activating your ocular system of your sensory vision. And how we essentially begin to work with that information is that it begins to activate the frequencies, that the ranges of frequency that are normally not seen by the naked eye. You begin to activate that. Okay, so every single one of these colors represents a chakra, which represents the portals of your organism that you use to process this frequency information. But as you can see, we have many other frequencies, okay? We have many other ones here. Each one of these rays, and there's millions more, right? There's many, many more frequencies that are available, constantly moving through us. And as we evolve and as we ascend in the future, we're going to discover more waves that the body can, that are available to us. And science is going to say, oh, we can pick it up with this machine or this artificial intelligence, but our body is the one that's deeply connected and has the ability to access all of this information through our vessel, not the physical one specifically, but the layers of our multidimensional body, which exist in these dimensional layers, okay? So the ultraviolet lights, that's why the third eye, when you begin to activate your third eye, you see a purple light. You see this beautiful purple light. You have the ability to begin to access that violet light, violet rays, ultraviolet lights. Okay, you begin to access those wave frequencies of information, and you begin to access information to, angels, the angelic realm, for example. Okay, each one of these dimensional layers is a portal to different levels of information, and we are oscillating through all of these. When some people have developed psychic abilities since birth because it runs down their bloodline, usually those are the ones that have a lot of ET contact. Okay, and that's why the Rh negative is an important element of ET contact. Majority of contactees have Rh negative blood type. That was the mutation that was done on the earth as a result of the activation of DNA in history. Okay, and that is a jump in our evolution. And we're going to experience another one of those in the coming years. Okay, there will be new blood types, and there will be new forms of holding genetic information or defining genetic information for us. That information will come soon. But essentially, as we begin to elevate into the higher faculties, when we enter into the crown, we begin to access the Akashic records of the entire planet. Okay, each one of these chakras, so the first three chakras is oscillating with the ancestral memory of the earth. And it processed the densest elements of the ancestral memory of the earth. So all of the embodied actions, memories, illnesses, limiting belief systems, societal programs that are embedded in us. It's not just abstract concepts. We live through these belief systems in the body. And so be aware of which one of your chakras are the ones that are processing the most, okay? And as you begin to activate your crown and then, your eighth chakra, which I've talked many times about because the eighth is a connection with source, okay? Your seventh is your connection with your higher self. It's where we create our reality. This is where the non-physical meets the physical. Manifestation. This is the manifestation chakra. If you are not activating your crown chakra every day, chances are you are repeating cyclical patterns of the lower chakra. And you're manifesting and you're projecting into your reality from the lower chakras. Just as I was explaining earlier. When the program when our deep subconscious programs are of fear, self-doubt, disconnect, we are operating from here and we are creating from here. It becomes the emotional charge subconsciously that enters into our reality. When we are beginning to activate the seventh and the eighth, now you are beginning to change your focus. It's the connection with the source. This is where we begin to connect to higher levels of information. Unity consciousness. Okay, your creator state begins to shift here. Okay, and each one of these have a different effect on the material world. How we manifest in the physical realm, in the physical realm, the more dense the level of vibrational frequency we're coming from, the more blocking it's going to be. Okay, so let's take a look at these repetitive programs that are constantly in this aspect of self-deception. What does self-deception look like in the physical body? When we begin to have holes inside of our body, I also want to say every single point of your sphere is made out, and it's I will render an image of it at some point, but I will create that image for you at some point to give you a clear visual on what that looks like. Okay. The nature of the universe is spirals. The chakra body is a spiral, is made up of micro spirals. Okay, so the sphere, the toroidal field that makes up the chakras, each one of the chakras is actually made out of little micro spirals, and those little spirals they can look kind of like a flower petal. Okay, and each one of those little flower petal spirals is oscillating essentially to create fields of information. And within the chakra in itself, let's see if I can eliminate this. Okay, never mind. Hold on, guys. Let me come back to that image really quickly. I just have to delete it. Actually, I think I did render that image somewhere, but I would have to see which presentation I put that in. Let's use this image right here, okay? Okay, here's the chakra system. Each one of these little, let's zoom in. Each one of these little lines that are creating the vortex points of the chakra, okay? Every single one of these is a spiral, and there are thousands of them, okay? It creates a web of spirals, and they function like flower petals. Each one of them has the capacity of contracting and expanding, okay? When it contracts, it just contracts down to the center core. What makes a chakra contract is the blockage of the vibrational frequency that spiral is oscillating at. And within the chakra body, within each one of these, these, let me just see if I can find, how can I write this for you? Within within every single one of these little spirals, okay, it's like this. It's a vibrational frequency, okay? For example, I'm going to use simple numbers as 1, 2, and 3, okay, to give you ranges of frequencies. But the ranges of frequencies that we're talking about, it's really frequency ranges, as you know, okay? So these frequency ranges, which also are aligned with brainwave states, which are also aligned with emotional ranges. Okay, so each one of those little petals, you can say, is oscillating at a certain vibrational frequency. So in the chakra system, it is processing through each one of these petals this information. When we, let's say, the frequency of the fourth one, let's say the frequency here is in this, the emotion that we're processing through this chakra body is one of fear, for example. This contracts this entire this entire petal, this entire vortex. So each one of these lines is a micro vortex that creates this entire web of vortices around you. So let's say we are processing a program of fear, and the body in right, left of the body, you are here at the center of this vortex. Okay, so wherever you have the belief system emotionally, because in the same way that we have self-organizing information throughout the entire body, okay, each one of the parts of the body is holding a vibrational frequency. Wherever we have stagnant information in either one of those parts of the body, that's where we are going to block the life force. So let's say over here we have this emotion of resentment towards ourselves, towards the divine feminine. This is the left side of the body. Okay, left. This is right. Okay, so this starts to develop here, but this is the end point. This is the end result. The end result is the physical manifestation, because it's already become crystallized in the physical body. It's already become pain. It means it's already begin to the processes of the neurological biochemical responses to the emotional belief system of resentment has embodied and crystallized in the physical body as a physical pain, a physical program that has been resisted for a very long time, usually since childhood. So that thought form was available energetically in the body as a thought form, okay? It became as a wave to this person through trauma with mom, okay? So mom didn't pay attention here, causing the feeling of resentment. The wave of frequency in this instant at the age of 3, okay, now translated over time, crystallized in the body as a reaction biochemically, bioemotionally in the system. And over time, that created a contraction inside her field. What happened? That entire petal of the toroidal field becomes contracted. Okay? The whole is created. The contraction of this entire petal is a hole. It's a rip. It's a tear in the energetic body. What takes up the space of this contraction is dense emotion, dense thought forms that manifest into more and more physical form. When this human doesn't know how to respond to this wave of experience that happened to her at the age of 3, she becomes confused and then resists this emotion. Let's say the emotion is resentment. Okay, really hard to write with this thing, guys. Sorry about that. Resentment, okay? Really hard to write, okay? When this beautiful child doesn't know how to respond to this feeling that is triggered in her of resentment, which is a cause of neglect, okay? Let's say neglect. What happened is that this now becomes this. Remember, let's look at the frequency chart of emotions. I just want you to understand how this is so deeply embedded in the body. Okay, so emotionally in the body, that resentment is affecting and storing in which one of the chakras? Who can tell me which one of the chakras resentment is embodied in? Let's see if you guys are paying attention. Okay, so take a look at this. Each one of your organs is processing emotional data. Okay, so remember this. Remember how we are holding on to programs of resentment. So let's begin to observe here the effect. Your main organs, which create this powerhouse of energy. Okay, that's where we start to store. That's right, Maria, it's the second, it's the sacral chakra. Okay, so we store within the sacral chakra these emotions. That's everything to do with these relationships. And what happens in this contraction of the field, in the contraction of that petal, is that we keep reinforcing over and over again the belief system, because now we recognize that everywhere. Okay? We recognize resentment everywhere, and we feel resentful. Contraction. Any of these emotions are going to create contraction. What gets contracted? The chakra petal. The chakra petal is contracted. Every time that you suppress an emotion, tighten up your abdomen muscles as a result of these profound emotions. You are contracting, blocking energy. Contracting the muscles in a state of anxiety, right? So there's many reasons we contract muscles. Obviously, exercise is one of them. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about when we are holding on to severe emotion to the point where our stomach is a knot. That's why they call the stomach a knot. Your stomach comes tied up in a knot as a result of the suppression or the resistance or the blocking of certain emotions. This entire petal of your field, this entire vortex spiral now has become contracted. So what happens is that the more and more, so it looks like this now, okay? It's not going to look like this big thing anymore. It's going to look like this. This creates pain, illness, complications in your physical body. Anything from paper cuts to car accidents that create severe problems on that side of the body. That side of the body, when the side of the body has a lot of debris, which means a lot of these belief systems, and it means many of your petals are contracted. And right now we're only looking at one chakra. We're looking at the sacral chakra. You look like this. Let me show you. You look like this. Okay? This is what you look like. So basically, we are looking at all of the blockages that we might be having in the body, in our energetic body. Why are you exhausted? Why are you consistently angry? Why are you completely blocked? Why are you unable to change your life? Why are you unable to transform, heal? It's because we have no awareness of how we actually function. These core belief systems are in the field. And the more we are disconnected from our body in the process of consuming addictions, consuming shopping, externalizing our power, looking at external gods and sources of protection. Nobody's home here. It's empty. We are just a pure depletion of our energy. All the energy is going out of all the holes that we have within the body. Okay? The energetic tears and holes that we hold within the field, essentially, we become a vibrational match. Remember that every single thought form that you feel is a charge. It's a bioelectrical charge that you're inputting into this matrix of co-creation, this holographic system. And if you are constantly unaware of your body, disconnected from your body, running away from your body in constant survival mode, all of your life force is in a centrifugal state. So how do we transform this? We begin to be aware. Sit with the body. We begin to observe. We come into the observation state, the state of non-judgment. Judgment is the biggest block in your spiritual work because you are fearful of what you're going to find. Why is it so difficult to meditate? Because when you meditate, you have to feel these things in layers. All the tears and holes that we've been cultivating and babysitting for many years in the states of protection. We literally are leaking our life force. This is why shadow work is so important. Doing that deep integrating, deep awareness of yourself, self-observation, being present every moment, so that you don't have to be an accumulation of every 365 days of unconsciousness and disconnect to your own body in your present moment. You are basically created by the external. You have no source of creation. And guess what gets embedded? Your DNA. Okay? So your DNA, epigenetically, because we create an environment of illness, of fear, of anxiety in our body every single day, through the leaking of our life force, of the infinite potential that we are inherently, now begins to leak out of our energetic bodies unconsciously. How are you possibly going to create anything? You are merely spiraling through the cyclical patterns of the ancestral, genetic, karmic cycles of unconsciousness. The redirection of that is to begin to hold your space. What does holding your space means? It means being aware, being fully in your body. Most people, they exit the body. They don't want to be in the body. They want to be flying around with fairies and angelic beings and all of the other external entities and things that are around us that are there to communicate, but unfortunately, they're projections of where we're at. So if we are in a state of unconscious fear, anxiety, separation, we're going to be meeting those kinds of experiences with the beings that we're connecting with. That's why even when we're connecting with aliens, for example, or entities or other beings, we need to practice discernment in every dimensional layer that we begin to navigate. Every time we interact with beings of any kind, entities of any kind, natural, organic life force of any kind, you are meeting yourself through your vibrational frequency. Your vibrational frequency is a collection of all your belief systems and the information stored within the chakras and how you process them on a daily basis. To transform that, the human can begin to own your space, sealing the holes. Okay, and today was a really powerful experience of that. I can't remember what happened exactly. I was with one of my clients in the session, and As soon as we began to seal the hole that she had in her body, okay, the sealing of the hole, all of a sudden the pain that she's been trying to get rid of for the past 3 months just disappears. Our entire multidimensional body is a reflection of the unconsciousness that we hold within this physical vessel. So reconnect with your body and begin to work on that. Now, let's go back to the actual reason why I came to this topic. All that to say, these spots and blockages that we have, these tears, these energetic holes in the body in which life force is leaking, these are our blind spots. When you're in spiritual practice and you begin, what spiritual practice? When you're in meditation is what I mean. When you are in meditation and you begin to uncover a program and a belief system that you keep cycling, let's say self-love, which is the case for the majority of my clients. They keep coming to self-love, and then in the session, they just repeat, what do you need? What do you need? Self-love, self-love. So they don't know anything beyond that because they don't know what self-love is. They've never really done it. They've never really embodied it. They've never felt it before. And that's okay. So let me show you how to begin to create yourself on the other side of your blind spot. Number one, once you reach a knowing, the awareness of what it is that you require. Let's say the example of self-love. You're going to feel in your body what it is that you require. Okay, let's say it's love. Let's say it's peace, whatever it is. I want you to embody that in your body in the present moment and see what comes up. Are you familiar with what it feels like? When you tell yourself to feel self-love, do you find yourself wildly looking for images and memories of what self-love might possibly look like? You might have a picture of a hot bath, picture of a guy bringing you flowers, a picture of, sitting in meditation. Okay, so you need to begin to see how far away you are from the understanding of what self-love is. And you're going to work your way into a deep knowing, a deep integration of what self-love is by feeling that in your body. You begin to recognize what you know and what you don't know of this emotion, of this state of being. Okay, so as you are holding this emotion of self-love, for example, if you've never felt this self-love in your life, I want you to go to the nearest thing that you believe is self-love. And you're going to start there. Let's say that for you, self-love is taking time to pamper yourself. Okay, that's okay. Go there, because a lot of people think that. Okay, so let's say you take time to take care of yourself. You cut your nails. You take a nice hot bath. What's the emotion that you feel? They're going to say, oh, I feel safe. I feel protected. I feel happy. I feel joyful. Okay, each one of those adjectives that you're naming, each one of those emotions that begin to come up is extremely important in understanding your programming, because you're not just naming out random words. You know what you're doing? Your body is expressing the memory from your DNA, from your entire vessel, the memory of that emotion to the level of which you've developed. So the level of which you've developed, you're going to begin to name out those emotions. And we need to go beyond that. And we're going to do that by getting to know what we know about our own emotion. So the first emotion might be, oh, I feel very protected and very safe. Okay, so for you, based on your trauma, based on the ancestral history, based on all the experiences in your life, for you, the embodiment of self-love is safety. So you're going to feel safety in your body. And as you are completely present with the feeling of safety, what emotion comes up? Wow, I feel a relief. I feel joyful. Okay, go into that joy. When you feel joy, What is the emotion that comes up? Oh my God, for the first time, I feel free. Okay. So as you begin to embody that freedom, every single emotion has meaning. You need to respect yourself, listen to yourself, communicate with yourself. People, a lot of my clients, they've been working on spiritual work for years, even longer than me, longer than I've been living. Some of my clients have been working for, 50 years in their spiritual work. And some of us have become, disenchanted with the spiritual realm because we keep getting stuck in these little blind spots. And then we lose trust in ourselves because we don't know how to move forward. And there's not that many tools, practical tools to help us move in that direction. So as you begin to uncover these layers of emotions within you, as you begin to recognize and activate the memory of your understanding of this new element of yourself that needs to now be developed, this is where we begin to change the patterns. As you begin to feel that joy, now you're going to discover peace for the first time in your life. How did you get to that feeling of peace? The inquiry of self-love, the embodiment of self-love. So all the things that you're naming out, you started with personal grooming. Remember that. And this example that I'm giving you is the one that I have very often in my sessions. And that's okay, because it speaks to the level of social engineering, programming, product of Hollywood, product of Disney, products of brainwashing that we've had in our society, which completely puts us in a hypnosis and a disconnect of what love really is. But it's there within you all along. We just need to learn how to unpack, how to hear ourselves, know ourselves. So you're going to discover peace, then they discover bliss. Then when you have reached the state of bliss, you begin to realize your body was contracting in these constant states of survival. And because we didn't know what self-love is, that's where our blind spot was. That's where our leaking of our life force is. The intelligence of this vessel is looking for that answer in everything, through unconscious actions and repetitions. So this is where we begin to turn that energy into the core. Redirect your attention from the external to the internal in order to begin to rediscover and discover and activate the memory. This process is the activation of your DNA. You are activating dormant DNA. I'm talking about the holographic network of memory through the bioelectrical system of emotions that have never been felt in your body, that have never been honored or accepted or acknowledged in your body, is the activation of a bioelectrical network of memory that is held within the morphogenetic field. So as you begin to feel these emotions deeper and deeper, this is where we begin to activate. And the human begins to become whole. Okay? What does that mean? They begin to recover themselves. The fractals of themselves in states of suffering now begin to make up this field of themselves. All those little open holes, all those little petals of their vortex that were contracted. And what does that look like in the chakra body? Essentially, that looks like an entire contraction, entire suppression of that chakra, okay? So essentially the chakra, let me see if I could find an image of that for you. Okay, it's right here. This chakra right here okay, so this chakra over here, for example, let's look at this solar plexus of this guy. Notice how it's so thin here. Okay, the little yellow line represents the thinning of that chakra. Okay, so the thinning of that chakra is the contraction of the information, the contraction of many petals. And eventually, what happens to the human is that when they suppress the information, when they suppress and resist emotions for a very long time, they literally begin to, you can say, paralyze or calcify, energetically. You can say it begins to crystallize. It's a form of calcification, but it's actually the contraction and breaking of those petals to the point where it becomes stagnant and the chakra barely spins. Okay, so let's come back to this image, because when the chakra is, has so many contractions in the vortex, it just can't spin. The energy is not moving fluidly anymore. Okay, so the lack of movement in the blockage of this chakra essentially creates a stagnation. Okay, and what happens is that this is when the human is most hypnotizable. This is when the human begins to come into its worst state of contraction and blind spot. It doesn't even know that there's something wrong with them. They just exist in these repetitive cycles and patterns emotionally. Okay? All right, guys. So I really could go on because there's so much more that I would love to share with you, but I think I made my point for tonight. And yeah, I'd love to get into the meditation. So let's go ahead and get grounded. Inhale deeply. Breathing. Go ahead and close your eyes. Come into a state of complete relaxation, stillness. Begin to observe yourself in a state of relaxation and stillness. Breathing. Allow yourself to observe your body, what is being contracted, what is being tightened, suppressed, resisted. And I want you to let go, release. Release that contraction, no matter how resistant the contraction might be, no matter how much it wants to convince you that it's okay being tight and contracted and suppressed. Allow the body to release that tension. Let those layers that you are holding on to of emotion, of contraction, of suppression, of avoidance, perhaps. You're going to redirect your attention to your breath, gently inhaling down to the base of your spine. Go deeper and deeper into the states of relaxation. Bring your awareness into the present moment. Release any tension in your abdomen muscles. Allow yourself to come into as much stillness as possible. Breathing. Let's become aware of our sphere around the body. You can literally imagine that you're walking into the center of the bag and you inflate that bag all around you and you tie it at the top. Whatever visual you need to use to create this sphere, for those of you that are new to the practice, use whatever you can imagine to create the awareness of your energetic body through whatever visual is useful to you. Remember, this is your creation, and I want you to use something that can be easily remembered and easily recreatable, because you want to use this technique every moment of your day. So as you create the sphere around your body, let's go ahead and tune in. Where do we have openings? That's going to indicate where our petals of our chakras are contracted. And essentially, you might notice that you have big tears or big gaps that are invisible to you of your entire sphere. Like the whole bottom of your sphere might be open. Okay, so that just means that we have a lot of contracted petals in the chakras, which means we have a lot of heavy thought forms that haven't been processed, which means we are identifying very heavily with deep subconscious belief systems that have not been integrated in the lower chakra centers. Some of you might find it difficult to connect with your perineum or your legs or your feet and the awareness that is there. And that's because we're deeply disconnected. And that means that probably chances are that the majority of the time you don't want to be in your physical body because of the strong emotions that you're trying to avoid. Just go ahead and anchor yourself. You're going to ground yourself. Go ahead and visualize the center of the earth. You're going to create an energetic bodysuit that connects your body down to the center core of the planet. You'll notice that you'll feel yourself come truly in your body. Your awareness shifts. Your body language changes. Any contraction in the body begins to lessen. You feel more aware. That's grounding, more grounded. Grounding means that you are allowing yourself to be very connected with authenticity. When you're grounded, you're extremely authentic. Okay, a very grounded person is very authentic. So go ahead and allow yourself to notice that you come more into, your deeper awareness, the deeper authenticity in that awareness of yourself, of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your body, of the things that are moving in and around you. Let's begin to observe the holes in the field, and we're going to seal all the holes. So simply visualize that bubble around you, that sphere around you, is completely enclosing all around you. Make sure you are visualizing the entire sphere around your body, front, back, top, bottom, side to side, front to back. Now, this practice, we're doing it with time, but all of these steps are instant. If you experience a lot of physical ailments and physical discomfort, you might feel an alleviation. If you feel an intensity, it means that you're resisting certain thoughts, certain emotions, certain observations. We're often at war with ourselves and our own thoughts, our own emotions. Allow everything to just be present. Whatever wants to come up, let it come up. Whatever you want to feel, let it be felt, but feel it consciously, fully, without resistance. It's the resistance that causes a lot of suffering. Train yourself to be in a constant state of fluid, that fluidity of feeling, fluidity of letting go, feeling and then letting go without becoming attached or identified with what you feel, without judging what you're feeling or what you're not feeling. This constant state of the 0 point, that is the practice of the 0 point. So now that you see this grounded, grounded cord all the way down to the center of the earth, your sphere around your body, let's go ahead and bring some cleansing, healing energy from the center of the earth. Bring it up into the base of your feet, your shins, your calves, your knees, up into the solar plexus, creating a vortex of energy. This energy is in whatever color is most healing for you. And take 10% back down to the center of the earth. Take 80% up through the crown of your head, coating the outside of your bubble. Take 80% of that combination up your spine. You're going to bring cosmic energy in from the crown of your head, combining with this healing earth energy. I'm going to take that 80% up your spine and from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your sphere. I want you to fill all of the layers of your chakra bodies with this healing and cosmic energy. Visualize penetrating into the layers, healing any kind of severed areas, blocked areas of your body. Your entire auric body is a projection of your mind. The more messy your mind is, the more polluted your mind is, distracted, the more you try to go into this control state of the mind, the more your auric field is filled with debris, filled with thoughts, useless thoughts, unnecessary thoughts, blocked thoughts, important thoughts. So the work of working with your energetic field is directly affecting your mind. As you seal the holes in your energetic body, you're also quieting your mind. Okay, so we're learning different techniques here, how to work with the body. So allow yourself to work through each layer of your bodies, closing and sealing any holes inside of those bodies. There is no in-between state. The in-between state is the whole. You're going to take that final 10% of that healing earth energy and that cosmic energy, and you're going to bring it up your spine, and you're going to infuse it into the body. Okay, into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level. Breathe. Okay, the more and more you bring yourself into a state of awareness of your energetic body, the more your mind quiets down. Breathing. As soon as your mind wants to leave, wants to move, wants to resist this process, come back to your breath, come back to the state of observation. I want you to clear your energetic space. Imagine that you're, using one of those squeegees, I think they're called. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those window cleaning things. Imagine that you're using one of those, and it goes into all of the 13 layers, pulling debris, collecting it down to the center of your core, in base of your field, underneath your feet, into those perspective layers. And there's a vacuum that's going to release all of those, all the debris that you're collecting from each one of the spheres. Work your way clockwise around the body, clearing the energetic body, opening up the pathways of life force in your multidimensional body, quieting your mind and activating and making space for your creative life force. Work your way around the whole body, clearing, releasing. Breathe deeply, come into a state of expansion. Release any contraction. Everything that you're doing in this practice is an act of profound self-love. Profound self-love. So just simply in this practice that you're sharing with me right now, you are loving yourself. Because you have reconnected your unconscious aspects with the conscious and with the higher self. Okay, as you begin to finish clearing your energetic body, you're going to go up into your crown, activate the 7th, activate the 8th. You're going to shine the 8th. You're going to fill it with your creative color. If you're not sure what color to use, you can work one-on-one with me, and I'll be very happy to assist you, either in a coaching or in a DNA reprogramming. That's where we find the colors together. Your creative color is essentially the vibrational frequency of your current spiritual state in your evolution, your current creator state. It is the color that is complementary to helping you, in your body, shift frequency into the next higher octave. So your creative color is that next higher octave that your body needs at this present moment. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. Go ahead and activate that crown. And you're going to shine it on top of all your karmic contracts, eliminating. Excellent. Go ahead and come into a state of deep gratitude. Thank yourself for taking this time to do work for yourself today, for reconnecting with yourself, for coming into awareness. Very good. With every breath you take, as you allow yourself to come into the room, as you open your eyes, welcome back. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was an honor to share this space with you, and I hope this meditation helped you. We're going to go deeper into a lot of these topics in the coming days, and I invite you to join me. Tomorrow I'll be doing a video in Spanish for this exact class. So if you're a Spanish speaker and want to follow me on my other channel, it's Geraldine Orozco International. And you guys can follow that channel. I put Spanish videos on there that I've started doing this week, and I'll be putting many more. Okay, I'm going to try to translate all of the videos on this channel to Spanish. That will take time. But go ahead and check that out. And if you guys have questions, please do ask them in capital letters, and you can ask them in Spanish. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Happy 10-10. Have an amazing day tomorrow. All my love, and I'll see you then.